athletes and fans of bodybuilding. Terrick Guindy with the Mr. Olympia. Today, we have a national champion, one of the most impressive national champions in the last decade. His name is Carlos Thomas Jr. This guy has quads for days, humongous legs, and the entire world is waiting for his pro debut. Good evening, Carlos. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you for the wonderful introduction, man. I'm very happy to be on here with such an esteemed panel right here. Man, you guys are awesome.
I get paid quite well to boost you guys up. Yes. also with us, he is the master of ceremony for the Mr. Olympia. He is the master of ceremony for the Arnold Classic. He is the voice of bodybuilding. He is the 2000 Mr. USA's. He is the iconic Bob Ciccarello.
All right, Terrick, what's up, boys? Good to see you, Carlos.
Good to see you too, Bob.
And also with us, the legend himself, the Sultan of Symmetry, four-time Arnold Classic champion, 1992 Mr. USA's. We don't even care about the 93 Mr. USA
That's Chris.
champion.
That's
and
Chris.
Considered by many the most genetically gifted human being to ever step on stage. He is Flex Wheeler.
Yes. How's it going, boys?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Hey.
Normally they go like this. So,
Flex clearly has a leg up on the competition here tonight.
Clearly. What's up, T-Man? It's great to see you. It's been a while. I think the last time I seen you was with your dad. You and your dad, right? When you introduced me to your father.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
man. It's been some time. We were at. I don't think I got a chance to speak to you at the Arnold, but I was there to watch you receive.
Wow, I didn't know you were there. Thank you, bro. I appreciate it.
It was amazing.
Thank you.
That was a very nice.
Without crying.
No, I cried myself, and I was watching on pay-per-view. I was very emotional. But don't cry right now, Flex.
Promise.
So I'll start with you, Bob. Bob, we do a lot of comparisons between the guys that turned pro at the USA's and Nationals, the 90s, the 2000s. We look at you, Flex Wheeler, Chris Cormier, Phil Heath, and then we look at the Nationals. We have, Jay Cutler, we have Victor Martinez, we have all those guys. And in the last couple of years, a lot of the overall champions have not turned out to be contenders at the Mr. Olympia. And maybe because, we've had an addition of pro qualifying events all over the world, so the talent is spread out. But there is one man that has been awfully impressive. He kind of reminded me of the 90s national champions, and his name is Carlos Thomas Jr. Am I correct on my assumption, or am I wrong?
No, you're dead on as always, my brother. And listen, Carlos comes with a lot of fan base, with a lot of people, a lot of expectations. Is it unfair that people want to put all these things on a new guy that's yet to make his debut? No, that's the sport of bodybuilding. That's any sport. And when you come and you're good enough to win the Nationals or the USA or the North American, listen, we are starving for talent right now, okay? We need good national champs and USA champs. And Carlos, despite not even making his debut yet, is one of the only names that anybody really remembers out of the last 3 or 4 winners of the Nationals or the USA. So, Carlos, welcome to the Thunderdome. I'm sure you caught plenty of flack already, being that you haven't made your debut. But listen, this isn't unusual, folks. Listen, it was a guy named Phil Heath years ago who took 2 or 3 years to get to the Olympia, although he did qualify as much. So, in Carlos's instance, and he can tell his story here today, it's not something he wanted to do. But like I said, the fan base is so starved for talent right now, Carlos. You got to take that as somewhat of a compliment that these people are clamoring to see what you got to put on a pro stage, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There's a lot of there's a lot of faces that have been around for a while now. Even like some of the newer guys have been around for 2 or 3 years. So I'm expecting to bring a fresh face, a fresh look, and reinvigorate and bring some excitement to this continuing season. in full.
I think Flex just knocked his camera over with his leg.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, I'm going to share some pictures
Yeah.
of this guy. And Bob, I got to tell you, I think he's the best pro in the last 10 years. I mean, we had Cedric McMillan, 2009. Steve Kukla with 2011. I got to tell you, maybe this guy is the best amateur in the last 10 years.
Well, it's very feasible, very possible, but we can't actually make that statement yet because he has yet to make his pro debut. Now, that's not to take away from what we hope Carlos can bring to the table. And listen, he certainly has the genetics and the physicality for it. But in this game, you actually got to bring it, and that's what we're all looking forward to. And we were hoping to see that in New York. That didn't happen for various reasons. But I understand Carlos is in full prep right now, and we actually will see him this year. And let me tell you something, it's ripe for the picking right now. I would not be surprised if we see Carlos making his Olympia debut as well this year.
Flex Wheeler.
Yeah.
Flex Wheeler, you know very good genetics because you probably had the greatest genetics of all time. What do you have to say about this guy? Hey,
listen, like Bob said, it's actually a compliment that this much pressure is being put on you. The worst thing in the world is when people are not talking about you and don't want to see
right.
you. But I'm gonna throw a lot of pressure on you right now, brother. With that type of size, you hit your condition right, man. Europe pissed a lot of people off at the Mr. Olympia. That's a lot of effing muscle. That's great physique, great lines, calves. I mean, we met quite a few times and talked quite a few times. I know what your physique looked like. That's just that's so damn impressive. I don't think you know what you're working with yet, son. I don't want to speak too highly of you, but man, I'll just say you can shock a lot of freaking people in the top 10 at the Mr. Olympia with that type of muscle. You bring it in the right condition. He's so complete with everything. I mean, it's really difficult when you have such powerful legs, but if you know his physique, he has great calves, he has great freaking biceps, arms, chest. Look at his lats are flaring, small waist. That's going to be really hard for people to deal with.
Hey, Carlos,
Yes,
we
sir.
have a segment called Losing Followers, Making Enemies right here on Olympia TV. But I'm going to start with Bob Cicherillo, but the question eventually will hit you. So start warming up your pecs.
All right, here
Bob
we go.
Cicherillo. Bob
Yes, sir.
Cicherillo. This guy, Carlos Thomas Jr., with this physique right here that you're looking at the Nationals, if he had done some of the shows this year, would he have won the show?
Yeah, if we were to hypothetically take Carlos in the actual show that you're looking at, the Nationals, in that same conditioning, he would have absolutely, had he picked the right show, because listen, we've had some good competitors that have qualified, but that physique right there, absolutely, in that condition, would have qualified for the Olympia already. Now, that said, all right, because I got to keep things real here, and I think Carlos knows this as well. That physique, as it is, and with all due respect, Carlos, for winning the national championships, should not qualify for the Olympia this year. That's more of a statement for the other competitors that we've seen out this year, clearly than yourself. You're not responsible for what the other guys bring, Carlos, just yourself. But I think even Carlos would agree that he would need to improve on that and in normal circumstances to get to the Olympia and obviously to have a great debut, which he's certainly capable of doing. That shot right there says it all. I mean, he's got everything there. He ain't missing nothing. Very complete. Thighs are huge. That's his hallmark. His upper body, matches the legs, which is very difficult to do when you got legs like that. Very Phil Hillish, Carlos, if you want to look at some old history. But like I said, it's a give and a take.
Did you just say Phil Hillish?
Phil Hillish, yes.
Yeah, I like it.
Is that? I don't know if that's a word, Hillish, but it's.
Listen, I don't know if it's a word, but I mean, that's a comparison. He's got to take it with him because looking at his hamstrings here, Bob, you're absolutely right. It reminds me a little bit of Phil Heath. It's a little bit of Phil English.
Phil Hill.
No, Phil Hill, not Phil Heath.
Hill.
Like I say,
Yeah,
Phil
Hill.
Hill is a beast. If anybody wants to, again, Google's your best friends, folks. I know a lot of you don't follow the bodybuilding history, but Flex Wheeler will tell you what an animal Phil Hill was.
Man, you're right. Especially that shot there with those hamstrings. I mean, I had massive pride in having some of the most hangingest hamstrings in IFBB, but god dang, bro. Yeah, I don't know if I can get with you on that. That's some god dang hams.
How much did you weigh on stage at the Nationals?
I was 219 on there, and you know, I mean, like I weighted at super heavy, but on stage I was 219. But you know, we still had a little bit more to go too. So,
how much size have you put on since then? What's your current weight?
My current weight.
What's your current off-season weight?
Well, this past off season I got to 260, around the 260 mark, and currently I'm sitting around like 240.
What are you looking at coming in? Obviously, the scale doesn't matter, but just baseball figure.
Anywhere from 232, 235, possibly.
Good grief. That's crazy.
As low as 230, but no lower than 230. I don't think so.
Right.
Carlos, you get as low as you have to, bro. I wouldn't even give two craps about. I don't care whether you're 230, 232, or 228 for that matter. The best physique that you can bring on that stage. I mean, I think if the improvements that we would speculate Carlos has made, I think could have won, to answer Terrick's question earlier, you know, you easily might have won the last show we just saw in Vancouver. With all due respect to the winner, Hassan, Carlos has a better physique.
I would say possibly the last two shows. Yeah.
Okay, so he would have beaten Phil Clay-Hart. He would have beaten Hassan Mustafa.
Sorry.
Absolutely.
All right. Making
that's
what I like. That's what I like. Making enemies.
No, listen. Once again, my friend, you got it backwards. Every time you say that, I just gain followers and I gain dinosaurs sent to me by every fan that you have in Brazil. So, listen, Carlos got a huge fan base, man. They're waiting for this guy. Now, Carlos, let me ask you, because obviously you were kind of forced out health-wise. You could tell all the details of the fan base. Were you just licking your chops from the time you were supposed to be in New York to the last couple of shows? Like, do you feel, had you brought what you're going to be bringing, that you could have beaten these guys we're mentioning and qualified already?
Yeah, honestly, I think when I'm at my best, I'm very difficult for anybody. You know, from top to bottom, I think I'm quite complete, and from front to back now, we worked on bringing up the back, as that was probably my most glaring weak body part. I feel like we made the improvement to that. So front to back, I feel like I'm quite balanced as well. So yeah, at my best, I feel like I could take on anyone in the past 3 shows.
So you turned pro in 2021. We have not seen you since 2021. How much have you improved your back? Because that's your weak point, right?
Yes, correct. I think we brought it up enough where it's comparable to some of the top guys here. I feel like we put a lot of work on it and a lot of emphasis on it.
When you mean some of the top guys, give me some name, because we're gonna put that guy's back on you and then visualize where you would place at the Olympia.
Well, I definitely think it's going to be comparable to the guys I'll be going up against in a couple weeks here. So, I think it's comparable against guys like the people I'll be playing in Texas, like Andrew, like Hunter. I think it'll be very comparable to those guys.
So you are doing the Texas Pro.
Yes, sir.
That's your show.
Yes, sir.
Hold on. Let me eliminate this so we can have you on camera right here. Look straight into the camera. Let everybody know that you're going to beat the shit out of Hunter Labrada and Andrew Jackson.
Well, in 5 weeks, in less than 5 weeks, they're going to see something that's going to be brand new, and it's going to shock a lot of people. And I think we're going to be bringing some enthusiasm to the sport for the rest of the year.
But Carlos, I got to ask you, Carlos, why did you pass on the Orlando Pro, the Vancouver Pro? These shows just passed us, and you're obviously in some kind of shape, but why did you not target those shows instead of opting to go to a much tougher lineup, which is certainly going to be Texas? Chicago is this week. Why did you go in Chicago?
Well, with the issues that we had going into New York with the ulcer colitis, and that kind of put a dampen on everything. We chose the show kind of farthest out. It was just because it wanted to take things a little bit slower and make sure that, I didn't incur any flare-ups from the stress of trying to force the body to get ready. We were just kind of going like on the style of when it's ready, it's ready. And so far it's been going in a smooth and consistent pace with barely any like hiccups or anything like that. So that's why we chose Texas, because it was one of the ones that was the farthest out. It allowed us to, make manipulations and not stress my body out and possibly incur a flare up. Seeing I was coming off the back of having one. So that's why we
you're
chose.
stating that you actually have colitis?
Yes. Also, yes. Colitis, yes.
Wow. So you actually have an ulcer from colitis?
Yes.
God dang. Wow. Yeah. Like we were saying off air, I had colitis and it was just, wow, some of the worst pain I ever experienced. And Mike Francois had ended his career, but I didn't have an ulcer. So I would imagine you've been in more pain than I did. And mine would happen when I would eat. So when I would eat, immediately the food would liquefy, and like within seconds, I'd have to run to the bathroom. And what was crazy,
all day, all night.
Yeah, all day, all night. And what was crazy, if I ate something really, really fatty, this is going to sound horrible because everybody knows I love fast food. If I ate a hamburger or something really fatty, it wouldn't happen. But if I ate my chicken and rice, it was just like within seconds. You can hear it. It just goes just like water, just right through you. And I couldn't understand it at all.
Exactly. It's funny because not this flare up, but I had one previously when I first found out that I had ulcer colitis. This was actually the off season of the NPC Nationals 2021. I had a flare up and I couldn't eat anything, but I was having one sushi meal, and that was the only thing that did not bother my stomach.
Isn't that crazy? I still don't understand that. I still don't understand that. That's absolutely wild, man. But my condolences to you, and I hope they're able to get that under control. It almost ended my career also, but yeah, incredibly painful. I'm glad you got that under control. But look at this shot here. This is just that's
a good shot.
I witnessed Derek Lunsford turning pro as a light heavy at the USA's. I also witnessed Nick Walker turning pro. And I'm going to make a statement right here. They both looked incredible, but they didn't look as impressive as Carlos Thomas Jr. My question
That's a hell of a shot right there.
My question to you, Bob, and to you, Flex. If this guy has a back on him, if he has a back double biceps and a back lat spread that's up to par with those legs and those arms, is this guy a possible contender at the Mr. Olympia?
Yep. If he nails the condition.
When we say contender, are we talking about
top five?
Top five? Absolutely. And he's going to have a chance to prove it because the front runner, all right, the expected favorite, as he should be, coming up is Hunter Labrada. Everybody knows that. He's announced a long time ago he's going in this show. So you're going to have a chance, Carlos, to take on a guy who's been as high as fourth place in the Olympia. Now, you talk about a feather in the cap. If Carlos can bring it, and I need to listen, it's not like he's been hanging around for 2 years. He's been training, working on weak points. He's going to bring exactly what you see there. Plus, if you can beat Hunter Labrada and knock him out of contention and put yourself in there, bro, you got to be feeling really good about your chances of making that top six at the O.
I just got to...
If he beats Hunter Labrada and Andrew Jack in Texas, the whole world, he is going to be the most popular bodybuilder for the next 3 months.
Yeah, definitely. Condition
now, Carlos, I do have to ask this, though, because we're not, and a lot of people aren't that familiar with colitis and what goes with it. As Flex mentioned, it literally knocked out Mike Francois, who was a fantastic bodybuilder and former Arnold Classic champ, very underrated back in his day, out of a potentially Olympia run back then because of colitis. But if you are, let's just speculate, you go to Texas and you do win and you look fantastic and all that. Is the Olympia something that's in your sights? Is that something that you have to consider because of that condition, or is it you're just guns ablazing going in?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something that we assess as we go. Just because I know that the prep is stress on the body, and I kind of did. This is kind of like a second prep for me. The first one leading to New York. we didn't quite make that all the way. But I still put the work in for New York, and I was still dieting, doing the such and work. So we'll have to assess like how much stress my body's been under at the end of this prep,
Right.
and moving forward. So if things are feeling good, then possibly. But if stress is high and my body's kind of just not really reacting to the changes we make leading into the show, then that's something that we might not consider.
Hey,
Carlos,
Carlos,
One question.
go ahead,
One
Flex.
question, and then I have a comment afterwards.
Yes, sir.
Do you get heartburn? Does it bother your esophagus?
I used to get a lot of heartburn as like a teenager and as like a young adult. So in my like early 20s, a little bit, I used to get heartburn. But I've been on my gut health kind of like regimen for a while now, making sure that I'm taking, first of all, I'm on mesalamine, but I'm also doing like aloe vera juice, apple cider vinegar, marshmallow root extract, lemon juice, things like that to kind of help with the acidity of my stomach and help break down food. So I haven't been getting any
Good.
heartburn for a while now, thankfully. But I do know when I have a flare up, like that's one thing that I kind of get sometimes is heartburn. But I thankfully haven't had that in a while.
Yeah, my esophagus, they said, was so ate up. It was like the worst case the doctor had seen. But on this physique, you
Yes, sir.
said you weighed 219?
Yeah, 219, and it was the end of the prep was a bit stressful for my body. It just was trying to fight back quite a bit.
I just want to say that don't look like no 219. That easily looks like a 240, a 250. So my comment is, and my statement is, son, you're talking about potentially coming in at 230 or something like that, man. Condition is key because I can't imagine. I just my brain won't even imagine with you looking like this at 219 what a 230 or 228 would look like. That's just going to F a lot of people up. So my statement is nail the condition with this type of muscling coming in. I don't care if it's 225. Man, I don't want to be disrespectful to the current competitors that you're going up against. But yeah, you're going to upset some people. I'm just trying to be nice. Bob and that other guy with showing his pictures to us with his G-string on earlier, Terrick, would be a little harsher about it. But yeah, but I don't want to put a lot of, well, I do. I want you to know your potential. I want you to enjoy it. I want you to savor in it and answer to the call. But son, if you nail condition and you come in the 220s, 229s, whatever, you're going to be a really problem for everyone on stage. And you're going to be a big problem for the top 5 in a Mr. Olympia.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, that's the goal with my coach and I, Andrew Vu. We've been just that's the goal. We are on erring on the side of conditioning. Like weight, I know that like I said, I was 219 there, but I weighed in as a super heavy. So guys I was competing against were 230 plus, and I didn't look small next to them. So coming in at a bigger weight doesn't do me any justice. I just have to come in at the best conditioning I can come in, because I think that my roundness and will be accentuated by more condition and hardness.
Agreed.
Carlos, let me ask you about New York. I mean, that was a show you had targeted. You were going to go in. You obviously watched the show. I don't know if you were actually there in attendance or not, but what did you think about the results? And where do you think, hypothetically, is that a show you think you would have won had you been able to go in?
Yeah. I think it's a show that I would have been able to win. I love my boy Tonio. I love Beef Stew. He's a great guy. But I think bringing in the package that we'll bring in coming into Texas, like it would have been a show that I can have easily have won, in my opinion.
Well, Tonio got the New York Pro, but now Andrew Jacked and Hunter Labrada are waiting for you. I was in Las Vegas for the opening of Torture Gym and the presenting of the new sponsor, New Tech. And there was a blonde gentleman there. He won 4 Mr. Olympias. His name is Jay Cutler. And him and I were talking, and he said, Terrick, have you seen that guy, Carlos? He's a freak. What do you think about guys like Jay Cutler thinking that you are a freak?
I mean, it's still shocking to hear. I had a few events with Jay last year. We worked some supplement stores together, and he actually told me, he said, "Hey man, like I think you have the potential to go all the way," and that to me was like blown away. I was like, "Do you know who you're talking to?" Like, I don't know if I'm that same guy you're seeing, but I'm just always blown away, even to hear you guys talk about me in this way. What I'm saying, I still kind of see myself as that middleweight from back in like 2017. So I'm just always just humbled and gracious to hear it. But
We don't invite people that we don't think is great to Olympia TV. This is not about diversity. We don't give participation medals. Some people, they ask me, when am I going to make it to Olympia TV? And I say, whenever you win a relevant show. Until then, you're not going to make it to Olympia TV. This is a place for people that we believe can eventually become Mr. Olympia. And it looks like you have the potential to go there. You also seem like a very cerebral guy, very intelligent guy. Is that Chris Cormier said your father is a very highly intelligent guy. You're a very cerebral guy. Talk to me about the influences in your life.
Well, yeah, my dad is my dad and my mom are number one. My dad here, any sport, any endeavor I've ever picked up in my life, like he's always been very supportive. Same as my mom. Like it didn't matter if it was track, baseball, football. When I went to go get my graduate's degree, anything that I put my mind to or set out to do, they were always supportive. And
Pops is mad hype about you. Pop got mad energy about
you.
you.
Man, that's my guy right there. If you see me, you're probably going to see him. So we're never too far from each other.
Carlos, if you don't win Texas, do you have a plan? Are you going to continue on? Is it something you'll reevaluate, or you're just going for it all in terms of you will be in Tampa if that doesn't go your way? Like, are you set on getting to the Olympia this year?
Bob, I'm so sorry. I just want to get this on record to protect the parents. The prize money for the Mr. Olympia, Carlos, is $400,000 right now. Maybe at the time you win the Mr. Olympia, the prize money is a little bit higher, $450,000. If you actually eventually won that title, how much money would you give to your dad, and how much money would you give to your mom?
Oh man, they're getting something.
Don't give me something. We need actual numbers of how much money you're going to give to your dad, who supported you his whole life, and your mother, who gave you birth. How much money are you going to give it to them if you ever win the Olympia?
I'll give them both a good 100,000. There you go.
All right. Wow. So sorry, Bob.
All right, thanks for railroading my question.
I think that kind of covers the cost of his investment. So he got his return on investment. His ROI is going to be returned. He's going to be good.
Yeah, you are.
All right, so back to the question at hand, Carl. If you don't win Texas, will we see you at the Tampa or whatever the last show is of the year, possibly the Legion or whatever would be left? How gun set are you on getting to the Olympia this year?
At this point, I think it's, Texas is just the show for me right now. And, if we so happen to, not make, the outcome that we want, then, we'll go ahead and shut it down and reassess and make some improvements and get the feedback and go ahead and do that. But, I'm very confident that things will turn out in our favor.
So if you were to not, let's just say you took third. I don't know. Let's just say Andrew Jack's up there or Hunter. You obviously got a couple of Olympians that are going to be contending. If you actually just didn't outright win, you're not really thinking of Tampa or another show. You would just go back to the drawing board for next year.
I think it's based on his health, if he can handle it or not.
Yeah,
well, that's a given. Yeah, of course. But let's just say you're healthy.
Yeah. I would probably shut it down. Most likely, I would say I'm probably about 85% sure.
Okay.
Go ahead and get it back. I'm no stranger to going back and doing the work.
Right.
And
two things, Carlos. How old are you and how tall are you?
I'm 31, and I'm 5'6".
5'6", okay.
Yeah.
So you're taller than Sean. That's cool.
He's William Bonac. That's who he is. He's William Bonac. and I would say that maybe his waist is a bit smaller than William Bonac, but he's going to be one of those guys that when he comes on stage, he's going to be dense. He's going to be very dense. His side poses are like, I mean, with those hamstrings, and if he's conditioned, he can go head to head with Hadi Choopan and Derek Lunsford. That's how dense this guy is. The question is, does he have a back? If he has a back, we are looking at a superstar. If he doesn't have a back, we are looking at a very good competitor. That is the question that's going to be answered in Texas. Do you have a back, Carlos?
Yes, sir.
He might want to have to buy a ticket to come and see this, man.
If he beats Andrew Jack and Hunter Labrada, he'll be the most popular bodybuilder within the next 3 months.
It's happening.
He said it's happening.
It's happening.
He can taste it, but listen, keeping things real, Terrick, you're dead on the money, Carlos. For you, it all starts and ends. You could stand with anybody from the front and certainly from the side. The side shots are just absolutely crazy, but the back. Now, the funny thing is it's all relative, right, guys? I mean, his legs are so tremendous and his arms that his back looks weak in comparison. He actually doesn't have a weak back. Right. He just has to bring it up to match the rest of them, which is outstanding. There's a difference, Terrick. If you got a weak back, he'd be in trouble. His back isn't weak. It's just got to catch up a little bit. That doesn't mean it's weak. It just means he needs a little bit more time in the oven, and he's had 2 years now to get that done. So I think we're going to see something here come Texas time.
Well, his waist is small, right? So, this is a good back leg spread. He could be a little bit tighter on the glutes and hamstrings. The legs are world class. You can see that he has some thickness on the upper back. And because the waist is so small, this is a nice back lat spread. I just saw Derek Lunsford on Olympia TV open a back lat spread, and he looked like a muscular rhinoceros. So I'm a little bit of and look, this back double biceps. He's gonna have a really back double biceps, a really good, nice back double biceps. It reminds me a little bit of early stages of Dexter Jackson's back double biceps. Flex, do you agree with that statement?
Not so much really. Not so much really, but I do agree with Bob. Your back isn't weak. You just have powerful other body parts. It's not weak at all. And I almost would argue how you're hitting your back. So I know your hamstrings are sharp. I know your glutes are sharp. And again, this is a photo, so we don't know if you actually locked everything in at the time that this photo was shot, but we have to go off of what we see. Definitely concentrate on locking down from the ground up, squeezing your calves, your hamstrings, your glutes, and then going onto your back. And I'd almost argue that you're not, you're almost expanding your back when it's a contraction pose. You contract down in your back in a double bicep. A lot of people try to be really wide and they bring their arms forward. No, in a real double bicep, you bring it back. You turn that elbow out with that shooting up and your fist backwards. You engage your inner back and everything like that. So I'm not really sure. Even in your side chest pose, your brachialis was like ridiculous, and I don't see it here. It's almost like it would be like your brachialis are washed out. So that would give me an assumption that either you didn't lock down on this pose when it was taken, or practice on your posing a lot more to the point where you're exhausted and then pose, because you're going to be mentally fried as soon as you walk on stage. I tell you that. It happens to everybody, fighters, everybody. You immediately get winded, but you have to know that I've been in deep waters. I've been here before. I've been exhausted. I know what I'm doing. And you have to depend on that muscle memory, because rear double bicep and lat spread is two of the hardest poses to hit it when you're exhausted, because you can't feel anything. So a lot of people adjust and readjust and adjust. If you're smart like the judges, they know what's going on. So practice your posing like crazy, bro. Make sure that you're just freaking exhausted and then pose. And that way you can be assured, if there's nothing that a judge can do to me on stage that's going to make me exhausted. And the thing about it is, a lot of people don't practice their posing. They just do all the work and the dieting. So you can expose other athletes, even if they're better than you. If they're over there weak and everything and huffing and puffing, I tap them on the shoulder. Hey, come on over here. Come over here. Everybody sees that. And that's how you actually run the game and score some points. If you're leading, that's how you lead the pack and show to everybody that you're the true champion. So that's
Carlos, I gave you some accolades earlier comparing to a great old bodybuilder named Phil Hill, but I'm going to give you another comparison with a guy named Phil Heath. When Phil Heath came out, he had a very similar upper body structure than you do, in that his arms were absolutely huge and tremendous as yours are, and they overpower the back. Phil's back wasn't weak either. He just needed to bring it up, and all he did was end up winning 7 Olympias. So you're in pretty good company, my brother.
Hey, Bob, you tend to be pretty conservative and you don't like to give a lot of credit.
Nope.
But I feel like you're very different in regards to this guy, Carlos Thomas Jr. You think this guy is a potential Mr. Olympia? Because that's how you're making it sound.
As we talk about physiques, and me and Flex been talking physiques for many, 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 many years.
Centuries.
We're always looking at the same first things, okay? You're looking at symmetry, you're looking at proportion, you're looking at shape. He checks all those boxes, okay? He ain't missing nothing. Now you're looking for muscularity, and then, of course, conditioning, follows up after that. You got to have everything. Every box has to be checked. But we're looking for the basics here. Does he have any weak points? Not really. Yes, the back needs to come up. Got to keep that midsection tight. Like Flex mentioned at the beginning of the show, the legs are tremendous. He's got more quad sweep than anybody we've seen, come along in a long, long time. His back easily can be brought up, and he's actually probably done that already. We're going to see that in just a few weeks. His thickness, again, from the side, is it can literally hang with anybody right now. And I'd say, excuse me, I say anybody in terms of at the Olympia level. He can hang with anybody with that side thickness. So he checks every box to be a superstar. Now, the only thing that you got to do is actually do it. Okay. And this is where we've seen, listen, there's been some great bodybuilders over the years. There's been guys, Flex, right? We've seen guys that never even turned pro way back in the day that had tremendous, the Matt Mendenhalls, the Edgar Fletchers, the Rory Liedemeyers, right? These guys didn't even get a pro card. Now, that was then and this is now. But Carlos, you've got all the attributes, bro. And that's why I said earlier, I wouldn't even put a weight on it. I don't care what you are. Throw the scale away. I don't give a shit if you're 219 again or 222. If you're improved and that's your 100% best, I don't give a crap. There is no scale around, bro. Don't exist.
Agreed.
This pose is incredible.
Insane.
I mean, this pose is incredible.
That pose right there can hang with anybody on the planet.
Anyone.
That pose is incredible. You can put him next to Derek Lunsford and Hadi Chupin, and he wouldn't.
You're gonna get him.
I mean, he looks incredible here. I give you a lot of credit, Carlos, because we're really hard on people. We like to criticize people and find their flaws. You just don't have, any glaring weakness. And those hamstrings, they're going to be touching your calves pretty soon.
I will say this, Carlos.
Yes, sir.
Brother, if you haven't bowed up your back in 2 years, man, me and your dad are going to whoop your ass. It's absolutely no reason. There's been a lot of emphasis on you. And we're normally not this gracious, but you have the talent. Now we got to find out if you have this and if you have this.
Yeah.
So you can have all the talent in the world, bro. But if you don't have this and you don't have this, I don't give a damn. You're going to get wiped out. Guys who are not as good as you are going to wipe the floor with you and play with you. So, it's like a great joke or a great movie that you haven't seen yet and you heard about it. And then you go and it's been so much talked about it. It's like dead in the water. We're talking about you and we're giving you all these accolades and you're saying that your back is improved. So that's going to either make or break you because everybody's going to hear this. And everybody's now is going to be talking about what are they talking about? Why are they talking about him so much? When you walk up on stage, first thing they're going to be like, when you turn around, like, yep, damn, he won, or damn it, he didn't do it. So that I wouldn't say that's pressure. That's just that some people that know the game of bodybuilding, man, we see potential in you, son.
Thank you.
We see potential. And the good thing about it went back to a short man's game. It's not a tall guy's game right now. Look at it, number 1 and number 2 guy in Miss Olympia.
Yeah, wait a minute now. Wait a minute. I'm going to challenge you on that one big time because you got Samson and you got Jack, who are both big men coming on. And I don't know if it's a short man's game.
Number 2 guy. Samson lost and so did Andrew. So I'm talking about
That's
Mr.
that's
Olympia.
current right now.
Current.
Yes.
Current.
But that may all change. Let me ask you something. If Samson Dauda wins the Olympia, is it a big man's game now?
It goes back to a big man game. It's true. But short guys are killing it. 212 guys are coming and winning the show when we would have never seen that in our history. It happened back maybe with like
right.
Lila Brada and Frank Zane, but currently it's been a big guy sport. Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler,
Flex.
these guys. So all I'm saying is a number one and number two guy, you're right in their planet. So you fit. We always talk about apples and oranges. So you fit in that oranges group of champions, and the apples and oranges, even though they're great fruit, they're not tasteful right now. So that's what I mean. But yeah, what Bob said is right. But you had two short guys wipe the floor with Andrew and the other guy. Obviously, we're thinking that they made improvements. We know that one of them has made improvements, but here you are, 2 years in improvement making. So there's a lot of weight. But of course, you got one job to do first, and that's handle the Texas Pro, and that's what your mind should be on first.
Hey,
So
Flex.
Carlos, you're submitting your resume right now to the judges, okay, for Texas. Why do you beat Hunter Labrada?
I mean, honestly, I think like great physique, and I mean this dude is, was former top 4, in Olympia, but I feel as though, from like I said, like I feel like my side poses, I feel like I have the thickness from top to bottom thickness, hamstring, quads, chest, front to back. Like I think I'll have everything that pose, but better that we see improved on. And then from the front, I feel like I have a better taper, better legs. He has tremendous arms, but I feel like my arms match up just as well as his. And then from the back, he may have a little bit more, maybe more maturity, but like as far as like muscle wise, I feel like I've picked that up as well. And conditioning, I think we're going to be right on the money, comparable. From the glutes and hams, I think I'll be strong in that standpoint as well. Ab and thigh, let's talk about that one. I think
whoa. Hold on. I like how you emphasize that one. Let me see if I find an abs and thighs. I like bodybuilders.
I was saying, like, we've improved on a lot of poses. Like I feel like that they'll be hanging very well with both Andrew and Hunter. So
what's crazy is we're looking at pictures, guesstimating on how good this young man can be, and his photo is so effing old, right? And it's still compatible with current pros.
Yeah,
right now.
That's 2 years old at the Nationals.
God, dude. And we're based on that, we're saying this guy has a shot of winning his first pro debut and doing hella damage at the Miss Olympia based on a photo from 2 years ago, son. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Thank you. I think we've made enough improvements to hang with these guys. I really do.
If you haven't, man, you need your ASS whooped after 2 years. Yeah, you need to be handled.
I really do.
Okay, well, yeah.
Come on, find that picture, man.
No, I found it. I don't have an individual one here, but look, hold on.
Show it anyway.
I got an abs here, right here. Because he has a small waist, everything. Look at those legs, man. I just can't get enough of those legs.
I want to see the legs. Show the picture.
Oh, hold on. It's not sharing here on screen. Hold on.
Let me tell you something. Carlos had more sweep than the janitor at that facility with the Nationals when he was on stage. Can you blow that up? I can't barely even see it.
Zoom in on your
zoom in. What kind of computer were you working with over there?
I zoomed in on my computer. You can zoom in, Bob?
No.
That's all Terrick.
You know what? The one thing I would say in this pose here, because you have such great quads and they're strided, I would smash down on that quad. Don't show that foot. Smash down on that quad and show those striations and everything. That's my only comment. And sit on your supporting leg. If you know what that means, the leg that's supporting you, sit on that. You have such powerful body parts, but you allow someone to catch up to you if you don't fully flex that body part, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we've made a lot of improvements. I've worked on like training my abs more frequently this time around, core control.
You've been tight, yeah.
So a lot of the things that we were told that needed to be improved on at nationals, I think we've improved on.
So we heard why you're gonna beat Hunter Labrada. Why are you gonna beat Andrew Jacked?
The Mona Lisa of bodybuilding, that guy. Yeah, no, Andrew's awesome, man. Like, but I think I honestly like if you like, I remember seeing him at the Arnold, and I was there in person, and he looked great and he looked tremendous. However, I do feel that in certain poses, I just fare better. Same thing if we're talking, like maybe front double. He has a great front double, great taper, but I feel like I have one just as well, and I feel like I'm thicker than him in certain places. So, my legs, my arms. I think I'll have better lat thickness from the front. I honestly think my front lat spread will bode well against his. I feel like mine is just a more complete pose from top to bottom. I really fill in a lot of gaps in that pose. You'll barely see any, and then same thing from the side. Leg thickness, arm thickness, chest thickness. I feel like I bode well in all those shots. The back poses, I think I also put farewell in all those as well, top to bottom. Hamstrings, glutes, arms, everything. I just honestly think that, all these poses, I just edge them out in certain areas, such as like the muscularity and the symmetry. So I feel like I will definitely bode well against both of them because their weaknesses are my strengths. And if anything, you could toss them up one shot, the back double, maybe not.
I would definitely agree with you. Andrew, we haven't seen him in a while, so of course, just like you improved, we have to give him the doubt that he improved. His back was one of his problems. His hamstrings and glutes, thickness and separation from the rear was one of his problems. You can give yourself that point because your hamstrings and glutes is probably one of your strong features against anyone. So everything lies on your back, son. You know what I mean? If you just brought it up to par, you don't have to have a super back. You don't have to have a Ronnie Coleman back or a freaking Chris Cormier back, or you just have to have a better back. And damn it,
Chris Cormier back?
I was trying not to include myself. Chris get mad when I talk about myself all the time.
Oh my God! Why don't you say
just
Flex?
giving an attaboy.
Say Flex Wheeler back.
Let me tell you, the matchup between Carlos and Hunter is much closer. Andrew got a little exposed. I'm a big Andrew Jack fan. I think this guy's tremendous. But it's hard for a guy that's 6'2" to look thick from the side, and he gets exposed a little bit in the back. And it happens to be Carlos's strong points. When they turn to the side, Carlos is going to be the guy to beat from the side. And Hunter has got a lot of good thick muscle. That's why he was as high as fourth at the Olympia. But I think that's a real battle. Now that said, we haven't seen Andrew Jack. I mean, that guy's just growing like a weed, but we also haven't seen Carlos since he was an amateur, and he's had 2 years. So this could be a real good matchup, Carlos. But I feel if you can nail this 100%, and I think you're going to obviously do your damnedest to do that, you could see a new sheriff in town here. And like I say, if you can beat Hunter, that's a huge, huge victory. And like Terrick said, man, you would be the talk of the town because that's a pretty damn good company.
And let me clarify what Bob's saying. It's not if you can beat Hunter, if you can win this show, because Hunter might be last and you might be second to last. So
that's right.
We have a lot of faith in Hunter. We have a lot of faith in Andrew. So what we're really saying, win this show, which you have full capability of doing. So, man, I mean, it's so much talk. I think I'm gonna have to buy a ticket and come to this show and watch it because I don't come to many shows. That I'm not paid to come to, but I might have to come to this one here.
We'll get you a free ticket, Flex. Don't worry. Yeah.
Thank you. Call me afterwards, Carlos. I want to talk to you and make my decision. I just want to check some things on you.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, his name is Carlos Thomas Jr. And in my opinion, he is the best amateur we have seen in the last decade.
Agreed.
He has the thickness and he has the front and side poses to go against some of the top Olympians.
Agreed.
If his back is improved, we might just be seeing the future of bodybuilding as it is. The young man is only 31 years old. He's extremely intelligent. when he mentioned his competitors, Hunter Labrada and Andrew Jack, he didn't sound unreasonable at all. He gave him the praise, but he said, this is where I believe I can attack him. And he didn't sound unreasonable at all. He sounds pretty strategic about what he's going to do in Texas. And I give this young man a lot of praise. Now, the scrutiny is high. If he's out of the top 5, the world might be crashing on him. If he wins the show, he'll be the most popular bodybuilding in the world. The future will reveal that. If you have not purchased your ticket for Texas Pro, you should, because I know Freddie Naidoo and Sheila, they're going to raise the prices knowing that Carlos Thomas Jr. is going to be there.
Back him up.
Bob, are you going to be in Texas?
You know, I don't know, actually. I mean, I got to look at the date myself. I'm not working the show, but I could be there on hand for a number of reasons. But I know one guy that's going to be there, and that's your father, Carlos. Because I tell you what, if there's a bigger character than Carl. Everybody knows your dad. He's I love talking to him at all the shows. He's such a character. But man, he is your biggest fan in this earth. But he knows his bodybuilding too, so he'll keep you honest. But I know your father be there, front row and center.
Yes,
And
sir.
the loudest there, probably.
Yes, sir. You know that one, Flex. And the loudest.
Wow. Man, I can't believe how calm you are. Your dad was so hyped when I met him. He almost drained my energy away from me. He was like sucking my energy. He had so much energy, man. But I mean, that's amazing to have that dynamics of your father and your mother behind you. A lot of us throughout our careers and our family didn't have that. You know, unfortunately, my dad never made it to any of my shows until I turned pro, and my mom too. So to have that type of support, man, just is like having your boys with you when you're about to fight. You know, you just feel invincible versus going up against a crew, and you know you're going to be better than the guy you're fighting, but they got 30 guys behind them. You know, I mean, it just makes you feel like you can just run through walls. So I commend you on that and your family and you guys dynamics of your family.
Thank you. I'm very grateful. You know, we're gonna be all there, the whole crew, and it's gonna be awesome.
Damn. I gotta go, Bob. You gonna get your ticket? I gotta look at some airline tickets. I think I got some points with Delta.
We'll get you squared up, bro. They're not that expensive. Don't worry. It ain't gonna cost you an arm and a leg or anything, you know.
Well, I only got one leg, so I can pay 2 arms. But damn it, if it's gonna cost a leg, I'm gonna have to miss out on this one. You got one to give up.
I love it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Carlos Thomas Jr. is truly an incredible talent. He is a national overall champion, and we're going to be seeing him in the Texas Pro. Carlos, I want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We're usually really hard on our guests, but your talent is so good, and you're very cerebral. You're able to defend yourself diplomatic against Bob and I, so I also give you praise for that. And all the luck going into the Texas. You're going to have some stiff competition by some Olympians. But, you know, again, if you win that show, we're going to bring Hunter and Andrew Jack here, and we're going to tell them straight up. We're going to say, Hunter, that guy is going there to get the money.
I wouldn't rather have it any other way. How else do you get better, you know, than testing your worth against people who are
exactly
top dogs? So this is like, I come from a competition background. This is nothing new to me.
Very cool. Very confident young man. He has the world in his hands. My name is Terrick Guindy with the Mr. Olympia. Carlos Thomas Jr., the most expected pro debut in the last 10 years. He's an overall national champion. I want to thank my co-hosts, the one and only Bob Ciccarello. He's the master of ceremony for the Arnold Classic. He's the master of ceremony for the Mr. Olympia. He's the voice of bodybuilding. He's the 2000 Mr. USA's. Thank you, Bob.
You got it.
Also, would like to thank my co-host. He is the 1992 Mr. USA's 4-time Arnold Classic champion, the Sultan of Symmetry, the legend himself, Flex Wheeler. Thank you, Flex.
Been an honor. It's been an honor, gentlemen. Let me go look at some tickets now, Carlos. You're making me lose some money, brother.
My name is Terrick Guindy with the Mr. Olympia, and we'll see you next week with Hunter Labrada responding to Carlos' assessment.
There we go.